My car is going back to stock. I'm working on my 911, and the first thing I'm going to do is swap my wheels back to stock, and then I'm going to switch over to my exhaust system. I'm going to work backwards and start removing my crack pipe first, and then I'm going to target my X pipe so I can put back my stock cats as well as my stock headers. I'm doing this because I have to get my car SMOG'd in order to renew my registration. I ended the last episode talking about how I'm going to work on my 911. In about a month from now, my car is going to be due for SMOG, and at its current state, it's definitely not going to pass. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put everything back to stock, which means I'm going to put back my stock headers, my stock cats, and putting back my stock wheels. I plan on taking apart my wheels so that I can fix the small leak that it has. And at the same time, I also want to save some of the tire life. My car is gonna remain stock for at least 2 to 3 months. And right now my goal is to look forward to the annual Monterey Car Week, or a rally that I want to organize with my friends to go to Vegas. So one or two of those events is something I'm looking forward to. And for now, I'm gonna put my car back to stock so I can work on some areas of my car. On episode 78, I got some new headers for my 911, and I focused primarily on that vlog installing it. Then on episode 95, I got my new X pipe to complement my setup. And it's been years in the making for me to get the perfect sounding exhaust, and I finally got it. 5 years ago, I started this project by removing my stock mufflers and just doing the muffler delete. So this is like icing on the cake as far as getting the perfect exhaust on my car. I've had my Clausens for about 6 years now. I've done one refinish powder coating on it, and it's on its third set of tires. So it's time to give it a break and put back my stock wheels. I keep my stock wheels in the corner of my garage. It's been a while since I've had them on. I think when I did my last track day is when I had them on. So I'm gonna clean them up a little bit before I install on my car. If you notice, right next to it, there is a pair of side skirts that I recently picked up. This is actually for an M3, and it's in carbon fiber. And this is one of the items I'm thinking of trying to retrofit these side skirts and replace the ones on my car right now. I've always been a fan of the styling on a 997. However, in the middle towards the rocker panel, I feel like there was a gap that needed to be filled. I ended up designing my own custom side diffusers, and I got them shaped, painted to color match my car. But at this point, I want to revisit this area and try to create something new. I moved my car a little bit forward, and you can see that I pulled out my stock wheels. I cleaned that area because that's where I'm going to put my Clausens. And so I have my wheels all set up here. The last time I drove these were on the track, so they're quite dirty. I'm gonna spray some iron remover and maybe a little bit of simple green, clean them up, and then put them on my car. You can see on this side, this angle, I already have my jacks on the side here with the ramps. I'm gonna bring the car back a little bit so I can lift my car just a little bit on the side. That way I got enough room to put my hydraulic jacks in the back and lift it up. After about 10-15 minutes, my wheels are now clean. I'm letting it dry out a little bit right now. I did wipe it down, but I plan on putting a little bit of tire shine on it while it's out of the car. It's a lot easier that way. Now that I got all my wheels cleaned up, I'm going to move my car, get it on a ramp so I could lift it up and remove the wheels. I just got this side done right now, And now I'm going to work on this side. I already have my ramp set up and my hydraulic jacks. Removing the Clausens and putting back on the stocks also extends the life of the tires on my Clausens because they're a lot more expensive. So that's also upside to swapping out back to the stocks. Now that I got my stock wheels back on my 911, I'm going to turn my car around so that way the front of my car is facing the front of the garage and the back of the car is facing the back of my garage. That way I have enough room to work on my car and still be able to close my garage. Now that I have my car back parked into the garage, I can start working on my car little by little. The main reason why I have it this way is because I'm going to be mainly working on this part of the car. And if I take any breaks, I want to be able to close my garage door. That's why I prefer to work on my car this way. I already pulled down from storage my stock headers. And then down over here is my stock cats. I do have my foldable table here because I'm going to be removing my rear bumper. And I need a place to have it stand. So I'm going to have it set up on the table here, right in this corner so it's out of my way. What I'm going to do before I even start on removing the exhaust is I'm going to take out my rear bumper. That will give me better access to all the components. That way I don't have to be reaching and struggling to get to all the bolts. With the rear bumper out, it gives me direct access to the exhaust system and it'll make the job a lot easier. If you see some DIYs, others have done this job without having to remove as much items as I have. But for me personally, I like to get the job done as efficiently as possible. So that means if I have to take out some items that I need to get better access, then that's the route I'll take. This is the main reason why I like to remove everything. It gives me direct access to all the exhaust components. The way I'm going to approach this project is work backwards. So I'm going to start off with removing the crack pipe, then the X pipe, and then last but not least, the headers. The first thing I'm going to do is remove the O2 sensors. I have the pre-cat O2 sensors on the sides and on the middle of the post-cat. I have my stock parts on standby. So once I'm done removing this, I'll just put back the stock parts. Now that I got everything removed, it's time to focus on putting everything back to stock. The only thing I'm going to retain is the exhaust delete pipes, but everything else is going to be back to original. I just so happened to be scrolling through some of my pictures from a couple years ago when I first installed my headers, and I noticed a date stamp on that. When I looked at the SMOG test that I did the same year, it was 2 months after I installed these headers. So what that means is I was able to pass SMOG with the aftermarket headers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change my plans today, and instead of removing the headers and putting the stock ones back on, I'm just gonna go with the setup I did when I last passed SMOG. So that will save me some time in this project, and I just brought my stock cats out from storage and dusted them off, and now I'm going to install this. I can't recall right now how I installed my stock cats, but based on the markings on this plate right here, gives me an idea that this is where the support brackets for the stock cats were at. Here's one of the plates, and you can see that there's 2 screws right here. So I keep a box of leftover parts for my 911 every time I work on it, and I found this piece right here. So if I line this up in that area right here, you can see that all the holes line up. And then these two, I measured the distance between these 2 bolts here, and it's exactly the same as this. So I'm going to start with putting this one on first, because when I put my stock cats back on, I won't be able to access this area. When it came down to putting on the stock catalytic converters, I took a step back because I wasn't too sure about how I was going to set this up, because when I brought it up and I tried to connect the catalytic converter to the headers, it didn't line up. So what I did was I went down to the bottom here and I loosened the bracket right up here. So what I did was it was able to make me move and shift the catalytic converters in a way so that it would mate perfectly with the headers. So both sides are aligned now, and what I'm going to do next is I'm going to secure the O2 sensors first, and once that's set up, I'm just gonna hand tighten these bolts and then work on securing the brackets down here. And once that's secured, then I'll finish up with tightening the bolts on both sides of the catalytic converter. The job took me about 4 to 4.5 hours, and that's mainly because I took my time. I've done this before, but in reverse order. So putting it back to stock wasn't that bad. Now that my car is back to the stock wheels and the stock exhaust system, it feels like I'm driving my car from a few years ago. But for the next few months, I'm going to be focused on fine-tuning my 911. There's not that much things I'm going to add to it, but I definitely want to work on a few quirks on it. And getting my car SMOG is the priority right now because registration is due and I want to be able to still drive my car while I'm working on it. On the next episode, I'm getting together with the guys and doing another tech day. The last time we had here in my house working on my M5, which I've been driving around and enjoying because now the shift's a lot smoother and it's a lot more pleasant drive. But on this tech day, we're going to Eduardo's house. So we're gonna be focusing on changing the brakes on his car. So I'll be covering that on the next vlog. So that's gonna do it for this episode. Thanks for joining and we'll see you on the next one.
Wow.